I'm gonna tell you a story, but the understand is time doesn't work the way you think it does. You can call it or call it what it's time you want to call it. And welcome once again to Booty Tickled in the Trap. I almost had that one actually out. Continuing with the Booty Tickled of the true NLP. Now, moving on to the touch trigger locking emotions into skin contact. So, because of how the body works and the connection between the brain and the central nervous system, there is a connection between touch and emotion. In terms of neurochemistry, it's pretty simple. Things like oxytocin and other neurotransmitters. The brain and central nervous system, they're basically put together to match physical sensations with emotional states. Usually, I think with a semicolorody, like usually with an associate with. So, the way this particular NLP trick works is if you ever watch the TV show Leverage, there's a point where Sophie uses it, linking physical contact with an emotional spike, anchoring emotion with presence. So it's to work through the body and not just the mind. So, Sophie from Leverage has this whole spiel that she gives. I think it was to Nate about all it takes is just a little touch. And when you're talking about a sports car and talking about how fast and powerful it is, and all of a sudden they're thinking about how fast and powerful they are while you do that, I guess. Um, and that's the way it's basically used in sales. Admittedly, in this case, it was being done by a grifter con woman because that's just how Leverage is. But so this should actually be pretty easy for most people. At least it's pretty easy for me because I don't have people just reaching out and going "Good job, buddy," stuff like that. Um, so pay attention and note body contact, especially when you're laughing or when you are having high moments of emotion. And the next technique is weaponized silence, forcing others to speak truth. Now, this is one that a lot of people know, frankly. Like someone's lying to you, and you basically you ask a question, and then you just sort of after they give their quick, hurried, light answer, you just sort of wait there, maybe not a little bit, show that you're listening, and just sit there in silence, making you sweat. Well, that's actually something they may or may not be doing on purpose. So the thing about this is what's really messed up about this NLP technique is it can cause people to confess to stuff they haven't done. I don't know what a good example of this is, but I know this. I don't know if it's happened to me, but I know I've seen it happen where someone will basically say they've done something they haven't done, more or less because they needed to fill in the silence. They needed words to be in the silent space because they couldn't handle the silence being there. So the way to defend yourself against this is actually pretty simple. Learn to be comfortable with silence. And this is actually something that's just not even not even just like helpful in defending against NLP. This is just like a useful sort of life skill. It's just like learn to be comfortable in silence. Like learn to just like be there and like sort of, I don't know, void out maybe, and just sort of like be comfortable in the silence. Don't run away from it. Actually, don't void out because I would be running away from it. But just like like there's an urge to fill silence. There just is. So like resist that urge and just sit comfortably in it, because weaponized silence only works if you're afraid of it, and if you're just like sitting there and you're able to just like sit in the silence and be like comfortable with it, you're fine. All right, thank you for watching. Please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe.